G'day Argy crew, hope you're having a fantastic day today and your family's happy and healthy. Alright, we're going to take a look at my new settings, graphics settings for ATS and ETS2. The reason I've changed my settings is because I'm now on a different computer, and it's an Nvidia GPU that's in the computer. It's a 5070 if anyone's interested. 12 gig of RAM in it. And I started the games and on the new computer and took a look at the graphics. They look great. So I didn't tweak anything in the Nvidia Control Panel because I thought, oh well, they look great and it's fine. But I was getting average frames per second of about between 40 and 60 because I had it limited to 60 frames per second because somebody told me that that's probably the best setting have it on because the game's actually limited to that, which turns out to be either false or misleading, if I have to be honest. So what I did was I thought, okay, I'll play around with the in-game settings, and I found a couple of settings that I liked, and it improved the frames, but not a great deal. So then I went into the Nvidia Control Panel and started playing with the settings there. And found that by adjusting in the... I don't normally like adjusting things in the actual GPU itself. I prefer to do it in-game, but I found that there's a few settings there that need to be adjusted on an Nvidia Control or Nvidia GPU to get the best performance out of your games. And I'll run through them in a tick, but what I'll do is now, if you have a look up in the top left-hand corner, you see that at the moment I'm getting around about 106 frames per second. And why I'm doing this is I want to show you something, and so that you understand that this game, it fluctuates in its frames per second immensely depending on what part of the map you're in, how well optimized it is, how much traffic is going past, how much movement is on the screen, etc. So there's no given setting that's going to give you anything consistent. You won't get a consistent frames per second unless you maybe restrict 60 frames per second, and even then it will drop and fluctuate with that. So just to show you, if you look at the top left hand corner, it's very small. I apologize for that. Actually, I'll see if I can increase the size. Hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, that's a little bit larger so you can see it's not that big, but anyway, up in the top left-hand corner there, I've managed to enlarge it. You can see at the moment I'm getting between 110, 112 frames per second, looking from the outside of the truck, or actually up to 114, in this direction. But if I turn, you will see that it will take quite a bit of a drop, down to 95, 96, 88, 86. So you get the idea. So depending on which way you're facing in the game, whether you're inside the truck, whether you're outside the truck, your frame rates will fluctuate. They will fluctuate quite dramatically. Also, depending on the mods you're using, the more mods you have, the more performance is sucked out of your computer. So therefore, your frame rate will drop. I'm currently in what I call my Convoy profile for ATS, and it has 38 mods in it. Some are high performing mods, some are less high performing, meaning they haven't been optimized correctly, and therefore they put a bit of a strain on the performance of your GPU. So naturally, depending on how many mods, for example, I've got one profile where I have over 200 and something mods in it, and naturally I get very low FPS, although I don't get any lower than about 50 now with this new GPU. But again, just so you know that no matter what you do with your settings, you will, depending on how many mods, whether or not the area you're in is optimized or not, you will get fluctuations, and quite dramatic fluctuations. Although if you're getting fluctuations where the game starts to stutter and look terrible, then you have a problem. And that's why I'm showing you the settings that I've set here, so that may help you. I'm not guaranteeing that it will help you because everybody's system is different, and the less you actually adjust and the less that you alter, the better you're going to get as far as performance goes. So I always look at doing the minimum I can as far as adjustments go in the GPU and in the game, so that it improves the game and doesn't go overboard to the point where now I've messed up completely and I don't know what I'm doing. So I thoroughly test everything before I adjust and tell people to use these settings. And again, these are my settings. They won't necessarily work for you, but they will be a good starting point that is relatively safe and won't cause any problems with your game. All right, so in game, let's have a quick look at that, at what my settings are. Now, this is where it got interesting, because like I say, I was told by people that you shouldn't go over your 60 hertz. I have a 245 hertz, I think it is, monitor, something like that. Can't remember offhand right now what it is, but it's up around 250 hertz. So I have done that. I have set it to that. And because of that, changing it from 60, which I had it at originally, has improved the frames per second and basically eliminated stuttering altogether. But that's not the only setting that's done it. So don't think that that's the be all and end all. All you've got to do is change this. So 239 hertz. Now I'm on a single monitor, okay? I'm not on triples, even though I actually have triple screens. I run it on a single monitor because of the simple fact of how I video and stream. I need the other screens for that. Anyway, I disabled vertical synchronization, and then I've increased my frames per second limit to 230. Of course, I've left the background at 30 because that's all you really need in the UI. You don't need anything faster. So I've increased it to 230, 239 hertz, and found that that's a major step forward. Then, of course, I've got all my other settings here. I'll go through them. I'm not going to explain everything. I'm just going to show you what the settings are. And again, you can change them according to yourself. Basically, suck it and see whether or not they help you or not. And then if they don't, then return it back to the normal settings. So 300% scaling, SMAA Ultra. I normally had it on SMAA plus TAA, but because now I'm on the Nvidia, I find that this is actually a better setting. TAA Lunar Sharpening is grayed out, but before I used to have it at 1.10. Obviously with SMAA Ultra, you don't need to adjust that. Texture quality is high, anisotropic filtering is 16 by, normal mattes I have switched off. Reflection scaling is custom, and that's because I've altered some settings in the config. If you want to check what they are, there's another video. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Then the reflection detail I've set to medium. I've turned this back down to low because I'm not really concerned about mirror quality, because you just look in your mirrors to check where you are. You don't, if you prefer, turn it up and see how you go. But I found that this is better low because the rendering in your mirrors do suck a lot of your performance out. So I've set that to low, and the mirror distance I've set to medium. Shadow quality I put on ultra. Fast shadows I have on. Interior shadows I turn off, only because I find that's annoying, and it makes things, especially for when I'm recording, I prefer to show people what's inside the truck without the shadows and the darkness. And again, that's just a personal preference. I really don't think it's going to cause much problems with your performance or impact on your performance. So again, that's up to you, your preferred setting. SSAO or SAO, screen space ambient occlusion, I have that on high. Again, that's for quality, so I can see the things in shadows and whatnot. Light visibility range, I have that on high. I have the traffic headlights on. If you turn that off, you can see in the image there what happens if you turn it on or off. Secondary vehicle headlights, again, I have that on. Post-processing, depth of field I have off. I find that's more annoying than anything. Some people tell you that by actually turning that on, you'll get an increase in frames per second. I haven't tested it to see. I turn it off because I don't like it. Sun shafts I have on because I prefer to see the sun shafts like you would in real life. Vegetation detail high, grass density high, weather quality ultra, and pedestrians are on. So that's all my settings as far as graphics go in-game. All right, so that's the in-game settings. And then what I did was I decided I would, like I say, have a look at the control panel, which is this one here for Nvidia. And I went into the control panel, and first thing I did was I went and had a look at the adjust settings with preview, and I decided I would use the advanced 3D settings, which are here in manage 3D settings, of course. Now, again, I'm not going to explain in depth what these are all for, but I will tell you that these are my settings for them that I did to improve my overall gameplay, less stuttering, in fact, no stuttering so far, and better frames per second. So what I did was I turned image scaling off, I turned ambient occlusion off, I turned the anisotropic filtering to 16 by, the Anti Aliasing FXAA, I turned that off, Anti Aliasing gamma correction, turned that off. There are brief descriptions down below when you do this, so if you're wondering what each of these do, again, I'm not going to explain that because it'll make this video way too long. You can see, like I say, you hover over and we'll tell you what they're all about. Anti-aliasing mode, application controlled, anti-aliasing setting, application controlled, anti-aliasing transparency off, background application max frame rate 30 frames per second, CUDA GPUs, all CUDA, now I don't even know what they are, but I've left them at default basically. Now DSSR factors, I changed this. If you have a look at this, you have a drop down where you can choose what you want. I basically turned nearly everything on that wasn't grayed out. So just to give you an idea, again, I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what these settings do. All I will tell you is through my testing, they improve things. So again, from a person who's not graphically or GPU full bottle on them, I just did my own testing by turning things on and off and adjusting them, testing it over days and days and days. And these, again, are the best settings I found. DSSR smoothing I found best at 33%. Low latency mode, I've turned that on. I'll explain that one. So low latency control reduces latency by limiting the number of frames the CPU can prepare before the frames are processed by the GPU. I turned that on and found that it improved my frame rate. Max frame rate, turned that off. Monitor technology G-Sync compatible, which two of my monitors, or one of my monitors is. Anyway, the one that I'm using right now is G-Sync compatible, so I turned that on. Multi-frame sample AA or MFAA, I turned that on. Again, explanation down the bottom what that is. Left this to auto because this was default. Auto. Power management, just left that at default. Preferred refresh rate, highest available, of course. Now here, shader cache size. Now this can impact your performance depending on how good your computer is. So you've got all these choices here of a cache size. I've put mine to 5 gigabytes because my computer's now is quite a reasonably good computer, but you can increase that, you can have it unlimited, you can decrease it. Play around with this and find what it does as far as affecting your game performance. So this is one that's quite important because it basically caches the shaders. If you know what the shaders are, you'll understand this, and makes it a lot easier for the GPU and CPU to could run without stuttering. I found that 5 gigs is my best setting for this. Textures filtering, anisotropic sample, left that on. Texture filtering, negative load bass clamp. These are all default, I think. What else did I change? Performance, yeah, quality I went for performance. Texture filtering on, credit optimization auto, triple buffering off, vertical sync, use the 3D application settings, vertical reality, pre-rendered frames 1, Not sure about that. I haven't really done a lot of testing on that, so I might try changing that and see if it improves anything. Adaptive and auto for the last two. Okay, now, just so you know, a lot of people will be saying, oh yeah, but your game has most of these settings in it. That's correct. This is for in general. Okay, if you want to do a per program setting, you can come in here and you can add your games in here and then do a per game setting. So when the game starts up, this is what it will do. But again, in here, I'm just showing you this so you understand it. I'm using basically all global settings, meaning these settings here for the game to make it a lot easier. That way you don't have to keep going in and changing, or not changing, but going in here and adding games and changing your settings per game. But if you're that way inclined, you can do. I just prefer to do it a one size fits all for my games, and this has improved all my games across the board, not just ATS and ETS2. So they're the settings in Nvidia. And again, like I say, what else did I do? Change resolution. Just make sure that you choose the correct resolution. That's extremely important. Make sure you choose the correct refresh rate in here, so that you're actually using the refresh rate that your monitor is capable of. And again, because it's a single monitor, I've only gone to the 1920 by 1080 and 240 hertz. What else was it that I had to set up? I think that was all I adjusted. Yeah, that was it. So just make sure, again, like all your resolutions are correct. I've got another, like I say, there's my third monitor is 180 hertz at 1920 by 1080. So I've got some pretty decent monitors, I'll have to say. But again, these settings will work basically on any system you've got, and you can adjust them accordingly. So if you find that some of these settings are impacting your performance too much, you can turn them back. You can always restore back to default, or you can just adjust them individually to your liking. All right, now let's get rid of that and get rid of that, and we'll go back again, and I will show you again, looking up in the frames per second up in the top left corner. We're sitting on about 107 frames per second right now. And like I say, depending on the area I'm in, I actually get up to 200 and something frames per second occasionally. I'm not saying that I do that all the time, but I will go down as low as sometimes 50. But it fluctuates. And like I say, as far as stuttering and all that stuff, it's all but gone now. I don't see it. Oh, and the other thing is I also use, let me cough this up, I also use Snowymoon. But the reason I used Snowymoon was I was using it to adjust brightness, because up until recently you couldn't get the game to actually change its gamma. So, but now you can, and because of that, which has only just recently been added, where are we? Yeah, okay, so here, as you can see, you can now adjust the brightness. For years, that scale did nothing, absolutely nothing, and that's why I got Snowymoon, simply for the brightness adjuster. That's the only reason I got Snowymoon, because to me, I don't like using a reshader or anything like that. I prefer to limit everything to the bare minimum to get things to work. I'm thinking of disabling Snowymoon. In fact, I can do that right now, can't I? If we go up here and disable it, you can see there is a change. Let's go back to it. So yes, there is a bit of a change. Let me see what type of change there is. Yeah, it's sharper. Okay, but again, not a great deal of difference there. Let's do it again. You tell me what you think in the comments. So if you look at the road surface, for example, when I disable it, Then look over here at the grass. When I enable it, yeah, it actually looks sharper, but I don't know if it looks better, if you know what I mean. Yeah, shut up. Let's do this. Oh, in fact, I wasn't even looking at the frames for a second then. 117, 103, that's 104, 101. Well, the DL8, so about 101, and let's enable, oops, sorry, let's, this, 97, let's disable it. 114, 120, 119, 118, 120. So it looks like it does take about probably 5 frames per second off when you enable it. Delay 101, or even more, 100. So 100, 99, 101. All right, let's enable it again. Sorry, disable it again. 120. Okay, that's basically a big improvement by turning it off. Although turning it on, with it off, we have got a little bit more jaggedy lines on the straight lines. If you have a look across the road here, these lines, don't know if you can see that on the video. When it's disabled, you can see they're quite jaggedy there. When I enable it, they straighten up, or they soften up. But I think that's something I can live with to get that extra frames per second. I mean, there's 123, 125. If I enable it, yeah, it drops significantly. That's 20 or so frames I'm losing. So if anyone tells you that Snowymoon definitely doesn't hit the performance, it does. Disabled, 127, yeah, okay. That's decided I will definitely be removing the Snowymoon unless the graphics are really bad. Let's jump inside. Ooh, yeah, there is a bit of there. Okay. Let's see what I can see. Yeah, if you look at those trees, they're sort of glistening, a little bit of flickering going on with them. But this is good. You're watching this live, basically. I'm going to try something here and see if it improves it. I'm going to change the Anti Aliasing back to SMA TAA because I can adjust the sharpening with that. So let's apply that. Let's see if we get a drop in frame rate, or if it improves without giving me the drop in frame rate, or if it improves at all. In fact, what do we got for frame rate? 15, 116, 109. And what are we looking at? This freeze is still glistening. Okay, so 117, 119 should really sort of keep it in the same place, so we know. So what are we getting if I go there? 102, 103. Okay, let's do this. You are seeing it first here. Let's go with TAA and apply, and whoops, and drive. 111, 105, 106, 105, so 104. What do the graphics look like? Sort of got rid of the glistening. It's still there a little bit with the trees. Again, this is all experimental. You're seeing me experiment live now. Let's try something different again. TAA. Let's try disabling it altogether and see what that does. See if it actually improves this. Actually, that looks better. Getting about the same frame rates. What are the trees like? But now the trees are moving, so naturally again, I don't know, I think it looks better with that all off. And like I say, frame rates are pretty good. What have we got over the back here? What about glistening and shimmering or whatever? In fact, let's go for a quick drive. So yeah, frame rates are good. Oh yeah, that sort of shows a bit there. Let's jump out. So yeah, the shimmering of the trees, I think that's just actually the movement of the leaves. I don't think it's actually shimmering, because if you look at the rest of the buildings and stuff, oh, that'll be it. The telephone wires or power wires, they look relatively clean. Let's go for a bit more of a drive. Yeah, we've got a bit of shimmering on the railing on that bridge there. So you can see the frame rates are quite good. Alright, let's stop here. Have a look. Check out the power lines. Now, let's do this. Oh, I don't know which one to choose now. Choices. Let's go with this. See what happens here. Actually, that's quite good. Power lines look pretty good, because normally the power lines are the first things to show up the problem. Actually, that's pretty damn good, and we haven't got any major drop in frame rate. Oh no, major shimmering there when we move off. No good. Okay. Thanks for watching, if you've stuck with me this long. Alright, whoops, wrong one. Down here. Let's go with just TAA, and we'll go with always soft. Experimenting. Dun, dun, dun. And let's see what that does. Oh, that looks pretty good, and the frame rate's about the same. Oh, no, we've got a bit of a drop there. Okay, so yes, I think that may have put a bit of a hit. It's decreased the shimmering. But we've hit the... Alright, let's try again. I should have actually live streamed this so that... but we'll see how we go. We'll go always sharp. See what the difference is. What's the frame rate? 96. Yeah, there's a fair bit of shimmering off in the distance. 92, okay. Yeah, that's hitting the... Oh. Go back to that. Go back to that. And we'll take a look. See, 85 does look better though. We still have minor shimmering. but we don't have any stuttering. We've got 91. Let's see if we can do a bit of, that's quite busy over there. So 86. Let's do this, 87. All right, one last test and I'll decide which one to put it on. We'll go back to SMA Ultra and have a look. $104, 95, 93, 92, 92, 93. So it's calmed down, it's sitting on about 93. And it looks reasonably good. Yeah, be patient. 92, 93. Okay, and we'll go back again. Change that to, what do we go? Let's just go to TAA. Sitting there waiting for it to change screens. Okay, 113, 92, 93. So they're not making much of a difference as far as performance goes. It's basically just the visual effects. And if you look down the road there, there's actually quite a bit of shimmering going on down the end of the road with that setting. So if we change it back to what we originally had, which was SMA Ultra, and then go and take a look, see what the shimmering's like. And yeah, there's no shimmering at the end of the road. Wait for it to die down and level out. 91, 92. Yeah, that is, for me, that is the best setting. All right, so for me, SMA Ultra is the best setting in that choice for anti-aliasing without Snowymoon. So if we now have a look, let's just, again, now that we're here, and it's 91, 92, okay. We'll enable it. And we lose 10 frames per second straight away. So yeah, you're losing about, let's see if I turn that down. We're back up to 90, so we're not losing a lot. So the sharpness, adjustment, 91, that's weird. I don't know now, because it does look so much better with those trees aren't doing anything. There's no shimmering in the trees. Look. So if I do this, you'll see what I mean. If I disable it, see how the trees start shimmering? And that looks really weird. So does that just simply stop them from moving? Yeah, there's not really a lot of movement, is there? No, the tree's still moving. Okay, I think I'm going to leave Snowymoon on. Mainly because it's not really impacting the frames per second immensely. Like I say, if you have a look at that, when I turn it off, we go up to 93, and that's leveled out at 96. Ooh, okay. All right, let's go straight into that and see what happens. We lost 3 frames, 10 frames, yeah. You're losing around between 5 to 10 frames per second by having it on. but because I'm getting such good frame rates, I think I'm going to leave it on. So I recommend using Snowymoon. I was thinking of getting rid of it because the only reason I was using really was for that. But now seeing what it does when it's switched on, yeah, there's a major difference there. What about DLSS? Quality, yeah, that's hitting it pretty hard. Performance. Oh, that hits it even harder. So that's definitely not a way to go. Oh, jeez. Yeah, okay. So DLAA is the way to go. Yeah, back up straight away as soon as I put it on there. So yeah, I'm going to leave it on there and continue to use it, because to me that image just looks so much better now that you can see there's very little shimmering. So yep, okay, it does hit your performance, but because I'm not getting terrible performance to start with, it's not really that much of a major impact, and it just makes the image look so much better as far as I'm concerned. There's no shimmering. Yeah, let's hop out and have a look again. Yeah, no, so much better. Okay. So in combination with all those settings, including Snowymoon, I'm still getting reasonably good frames per second at 92, 93. And as far as the peak, I'm getting up to, like I say, around about, in some situations, over 200 frames per second. Just depends on what part of the map I'm in and what truck I'm in. So hopefully that was helpful, guys. And you know, like I say, these settings are there for you to try out and adjust according to your preferences. So don't think that they're a be-all and end-all as they stand, because again, these are for my system, and my system is different to yours, but it's a place to start and try, and then you can adjust it for your own system. And hopefully that was explained everything clearly enough for you. And if you did enjoy it, give me the thumbs up. If you didn't, give me the thumbs down. If you think that I could change a setting that would improve my frames per second even more, please let me know. I mean, I'm open to suggestions. I'm not saying that all my settings are perfect. I may have set something wrong which is impacting the performance. If you know better, let me know. And hopefully, if you did enjoy this, we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.